canal language means, would you please get out of the way, because today we're not in the country, we're right in the heart of London, underneath the busy Edgware Road, and probably up there, the nose to tail in a traffic jam, and here we are chugging peacefully along on a canal. I'll just make sure there's nothing coming.
Thank you, Douglas. There are actually 4,000 miles of navigable waterway, 2,000 miles of which are actually canals, and I'm sure lots of them much prettier than this rather damp, dark tunnel. But nowadays you can travel from Surrey all the way up to Yorkshire by canal, but we're not doing that, are we?
No, we're just going to have a look at some of the beautiful London canals that go right through the city, but the only problem is we had to get up very early.
In fact, we had to be on board our boat, the Parry 2, at 7 o'clock in the morning to meet her owner, Hugh McKnight. He's an expert on the canals and has written many books about them.
Pretty. Do you think Hugh's on board?
I can't see him, he's not on.
Give him a yell.
Watch yourself.
Oops, thank you. Hugh? Hugh? Oh,
Hello. There he is.
Nice to see you. Jenny, can you start the stove down there for me, please?
already it's
On you
work.
go.
And Douglas, come up to this end and help me get the engine going.
Yeah, you get on with the coffee.
Okay.
What I'd like you to do is to start this blow lamp on top of the engine, and that'll get the diesel oil vaporizing, and about 7 minutes later it should be ready to fire.
Isn't it dangerous to light this near the engine?
Well, it would be if it was a petrol engine, but this particular type of semi-diesel was invented about 60 years ago, and it's absolutely safe.
Right.
It's the only way of getting it going.
Glad to hear it. Let's see.
So just turn that tap on there. Oh, how's it getting on, Jenny?
Hello, Hugh. Well, I've lit the fire with
Ooh.
a certain amount of difficulty, and I thought
You're getting
coffee
a
was...
lovely lot of
Is it
smoke
in
there.
Yes, it's
a safe part of
does
the
it always
island?
do that?
Yes, yes, until the wood itself starts to get properly burnt up, and then it should settle down, and the only smoke comes out of the
I
chimney
thought
on
it was
top.
just me who'd done that.
Oh,
Tell you what,
no.
I've been looking at your book, actually, on inland waterways. It's a really very good book on telling you everything I think one shouldn't. Oh, gosh, I've got coal all over it as well.
Well, that sort of thing happens on
Yes,
canal boats.
sorry about that. This really is very small, Hugh.
Yes, it is, and this cabin is exactly the same sort of... It's a replica, in fact, of the kind of cabin where a boat family, mum and dad, and anything up to 4 children spent their entire lives living in a place this size.
6 people in this?
6 people in a thing like this, yeah.
I bet she knew how to light the fire better than I do.
Oh, well, with practice.
The thing that I love, though, is all the paraphernalia. I mean, do they have lots of plates?
Oh, some boats are absolutely full of plates. You can't move without bumping into them.
How
Painted
long
on
have
them.
they been going for?
It's
canal
been going
boats?
for about, well, canal boats like this started, in about 1840. And the canals themselves started a good deal earlier, but people began to live on the boats full-time from about 1840.
Well, all I can see so far is just sort of one long bed, which I suppose could sleep 2 children.
That's
But
right.
it must have secret drawers and things.
Oh, yes, yes, there are all sorts of secret drawers.
What have you got here?
Well, if we start on this, now this looks like a cupboard, right?
Yes.
And we open it up, it is a cupboard, but it's also the living room table.
Wonderful.
So you
so
can
that's
meet your
actually,
meals
it's
off
very
there.
much like the modern caravan.
Yes, it is. In fact, gypsy caravans look rather like the inside of this boat, don't they?
They do, actually. And all the lace inside and everything.
Yes.
Well, while you get the engine together, I'll just wait until the kettle boils.
Oh, no, you won't. There's one little job I'd like you to do. There's a bit of brass that needs polishing up.
Oh,
so
no.
if you take that drawer full of rags and stuff
Yes.
and make a start on the chimney outside,
Oh, you're
I like my boat to look smart.
All right, you.
How's it doing? Had it 7 minutes? Right. Well, I've got to kick it from this side like this, and all going well, it should start.
Thanks, fellas!
Sorry!
Oh,
Wonderful.
coffee time at last. I hope you don't mind me using this, but it's absolutely
not at all.
beautiful.
Well, that's what they used to call barge teapots, or Measham teapots, and the canal boat people really used to use them to make their cups of tea or coffee.
Lovely. Hey, by the way, Douglas, where are we?
Well, we're still pretty close to the centre of London, because that's the Westway there, which is only about a mile from the centre. Fairly heavy traffic. Is that about right?
That's right, yes. Well, on the map here, you can see where we started. we started at Maida Hill Tunnel, Little Venice, Paddington, just there, and we're travelling westwards down to join the main line of the Grand Union Canal, and then we'll head down roughly south to meet the Thames at Brentford. The whole thing's about 17 or 18 miles, I suppose.
And that Paddington Arm that Doug and Jenny are sailing on is just a small part of the Grand Union Canal, Britain's longest canal, 255 miles from Brentford up to Birmingham. And that in turn is only a small part of Britain's total inland waterway length, which is something over 4,000 miles. But before 1760, there were only about 2,000 miles of inland waterways, and they were mainly navigable rivers like the Thames, the Severn, the Trent and the Ouse. The main drawback with this system was that it didn't link up the main centres. So by 1790, the first canals had been dug, northwards from the Thames to the industrial Midlands, and onwards to the coalfields of Lancashire and Yorkshire. By 1820, there was a complex network carrying coal, iron, cotton and 1,000 other things as far north as Glasgow, as far south as the English Channel. And this incredible canal expansion was the product of the imagination and skill of a small group of people. People like the Duke of Bridgewater, who'd seen canals working in Europe and wanted to move coal from his Lancashire coalfields down to Manchester. So he got in touch with a middle-aged engineer called James Brindley and asked him to build him a canal. And Brindley did just that, and the canal proved a great success. And Brindley went on to become something of a canal genius. He built tunnels and aqueducts to service his canals. But by 1814, something was coming along that was going to change canals completely.
When the railways came along in this country around about 1830 and spread throughout the country, it was soon realised that they were a lot cheaper and a lot faster than the old transport on the canals. And from that day onward, the days of those grand old boats were numbered. Hey, wait for me!
In the face of stiff competition from the railways, the canals were forced to run down, a process that's continued right up to the present day, leaving us with scenes like these.
Still 341 miles of canals still being used for business, aren't there?
Yes, there are, carrying all sorts of cargoes. In fact, at this very moment, there are 30 million tonnes of cargo being carried on canals in Britain.
What sort of things do they carry?
Oh, just about anything you can think of. Timber, steel, manufactured goods, even lime juice in barrels. That's one quite well-known traffic.
But that still leaves, wait a minute, 341 from 2,000, let's say about 1,600 miles of canals.
Of canals and rivers, yes.
Used for what?
These are used for pleasure cruising chiefly at the moment. Going on a boat, perhaps hiring a boat for a week or a fortnight, having a super holiday, going through the countryside just as it was, I don't know, 200 years ago. It's hardly changed in that time at all.
It's good to know. But are we doing anything to conserve the canals that we have and make more canals?
No, we're not making any more canals in this country, sadly. Some of them are being improved and the locks are being made bigger so they can take bigger barges, but there's not very many of them. But the really interesting part of the story is canals that were completely run down, no water in them, covered in weeds, just after the last war. They're now being dug out, particularly by volunteers, and a lot of young people, they go along at weekends, spend a whole weekend in the mud, pull out all the rubbish and pull the old lock gates down, new ones go in, and have a super time doing it.
And if you're going to renovate your canals, you should renovate the vessels that travel on them, I suppose. And that's what Vivian Foley does. She's a canal artist. She and her husband own two of London's best-known longboats, Jason and Serpens. They take people up and down the Regent's Park Canal. So I suppose really you've had to become a bit of an artist to look after those two boats.
There's always a lot of painting to be done around the boats.
But it is very much a traditional craft, isn't it, with
Yes.
some very set rules.
Yes, in fact it's one of the few remaining folk arts in the country, and although there's several different ways of painting roses, the colours are always the same.
Let's have a look at some of the things that you brought up from Jason, because you brought up some things to illustrate the very traditional ideas behind the art.
Yeah.
For instance, there are very set subjects like
Yes.
roses. What else?
The roses and castles and geometric designs.
Why do you think that there are just those few things?
Well, nobody really seems to know, but I think people generally think that the castles fulfill the boatman's dreams of a larger place to live in, and the castles because the roses because they had no gardens.
No, he wanted his little patch somewhere
Yes,
or other.
right.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got very traditional and set subjects. What about colours?
The colours are usually the same. The roses are yellow, white and red.
Let's have a look here. We've got a barrel with a rose design, and we've also got these kitchen spoons that look very simple, actually. I
Yes,
should think a
they're
lot of
easy
our
to do.
people watching could have a go at painting something like that. And there's a tray here, all with the same rose design.
Yes.
And that goes on the outside of longboats as well.
Yes, it does.
And this is the panels that you're doing here are for the outside of
Yes, they
the
go on
longboat.
the outside of the cabin and also on the cabin doors.
Well, I hope I'm not ruining my panel too much, but just show us how you build the design up.
Yes, I've broken it into 3 different stages. The first one, it's very simple. You just do round blobs of colour for the centres of the roses.
Yeah.
Fill in with green for the leaves.
That's what I'm attempting now.
Yes. And then a blue blob for daisies that are in among the leaves.
Yeah. That
Then-
brings us on to the middle one.
The middle stage is the nicest. It's where we do the petals, and that's where the flowers really come to life.
Mm.
And the last stage here, you just paint on the petals for the daisies and do yellow flashes on the leaves.
Well, that's really very
And
pretty.
stamens also, I forgot that.
It's really smashing, and we'll have to take a closer look at longboats now. Every time I see one, I'll look for these designs. Right, I'll get on with this now, under your supervision. And while I'm doing it, I better go back to Dougie.
Well, this is what they call civilized transport in 1975. Look at them, all buzzing past like ants with hardly a second to spare. They're noisy, they're smelly, and they're certainly very dirty. And there's a tremendous strain on both the driver and the vehicle. But up there's a completely different world.
And this, believe it or not, is an aqueduct over the North Circular. And up here it's been so nice and peaceful that we haven't even passed another boat all day. This isn't really a very big aqueduct, is it?
Oh, this is a tiny one. There's one up in North Wales called the Pont Sicilti, and it's 1,007 feet long and 121 feet high at the centre.
But this is quite old, isn't it?
This one was rebuilt in about 1931.
Why rebuilt?
Well, I suppose when they widened the North Circular, the original one wasn't big enough.
But it is totally safe.
Well, come to think of it, this one burst in 1962 and flooded the road underneath.
Say no more, Hugh. Douglas! Come on, it's unsafe!
You take that rope.
Okay.
Somehow I think that Doug and Jenny will survive, but apart from the problems of canals bursting their banks, there were many other trials and tribulations which beset those people who lived and worked on the water. Particularly worked because they had to work very, very hard to compete with those people on the railways. Let's hear more about their lifestyle in song and pictures.
It's a hard life for a girl on the cut, doing the work of a full-grown man, steering the butty and filling the logs, or working as hard as she can. It's a hard life for a wife on the cut, living her days with a boating man. Bow all the butty and shovel the coal, working as hard as she can. It's a hard life for a man on the cut, rearing the family the decent way, feeding the babbies and keeping them clean, and nothing but work all the day.
Well, we're now about 15 canal miles away from Little Venice, which we left about 7 o'clock this morning in lovely weather. It's still good weather and we're having a great time. We've got about 4 miles to go to Brentford, that's our destination, and we're at a place called Three Bridges in Southall. It's called Three Bridges because there's an old railway bridge here. There's a bridge created by the canal over the railway, and up there there's a road bridge carrying the road to Southall. And here's my transport coming.
Seeing the canal and the railway together reminded me that the railway companies not only took all the trade from the canals, but also helped in the rundown by buying up great chunks of canal property and allowing them to fall into disuse. Anyway, it was time for me to rejoin the boat, and there was lots more work to be done.
Yeah, he's probably going to take it through a lock, and that's precisely what I'm going to do right here in this very studio before your very eyes, because we've got the most magnificent model of a working pound lock here in the studio, and if you can hear an engine chugging away in the background, well, that's essential to keep the water circulating. If we didn't have it, we'd probably all get flooded, so I have to put up with the noise. Now then, HMS Murgatroyd, chug 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 up here into the pound, and then I can close up the gates at this end, the mitre gates. Make sure that the sluices or paddles are closed there. Open up the sluices or paddles of the other gate, and immediately the water level starts to drop as the water flows out, and I've just moored my little boat up here. These pound locks were first introduced on the Exeter Canal in 1564. They were originated by a Chinaman called Chiao Wei Yo way back in 983 when he was working on the Grand Canal in China. And now I think our lock's pretty well ready for me to open the gates. So we've successfully brought HMS Murgatroyd downhill, which is one of the purposes of a lock after all, taking boats up and down on our waterways. So I can moor you, HMS Murgatroyd, there, chug chug chug. What a marvellous toy. I think everyone should have one of those in their bathroom. Back to Jenny and Doug doing the real thing.
Once we'd actually got the boat through the top gate, we had to make it secure.
I'll grab the back boat. Now we have the gate shut.
Easier said than done, especially as old Caleb, the lock keeper, was keeping a watchful eye on our efforts.
It's quite heavy, isn't it?
Yes.
Hugh wasn't kidding, for that solid oak lock gate must have weighed about 2 tons. But then he gave me a tip. He told me to go around to the other side of the beam and to push it with my bottom. And soon the gate started to move, for in fact the weight of the gate is balanced by the weight of the beam. Very crafty.
With the top gate firmly shut, I had to open the paddles on the bottom one with a thing called a windlass.
Is this the thing, Hugh?
That's right, wind it up.
I'll put some muscle into it.
As the paddle came up, the water started to flow out of the lock. About 56,000 gallons of it, in fact. And then I had to cross back over the lock gate to open up the other paddle. Well, at least I was getting some exercise. Ooh.
But it's already quite peaceful going down. It's when you're going up in the lock that the trouble starts and the water rushes
Should I
everywhere.
just push us away from
Yes,
the...
give us a shove off from the gate.
As the water emptied out, the Parry 2 settled down into the loch. When the water had levelled, Jenny, with her newfound muscles, opened the bottom gate. Or tried to.
Into it.
I've got my back in it. Ooh.
Bit more!
It seemed impossible, but one hefty push and at last the gate started to swing open, slowly. But it did gain weight quite quickly, and in fact, I very nearly fell in.
Wait for the bump. Can you come down and get on the boat, Jenny? Quickly, you'll miss it.
Okay,
Come on, hurry up!
that's what these steps are for.
Well done.
Woo! That is
Welcome
exhausting.
aboard.
Feeling as if we had really accomplished something, we were only to be informed by Hugh that there were another 5 locks to go through, making up the Hanwell flight and lowering the canal by 50 feet to bring it to the same level as the Thames. That Hugh's full of little surprises.
We should have been grateful there were only 5, because at Tardybig near Birmingham there's a flight of 30 locks lifting the canal by 217 feet. But 5 or 30, it's all hard work. For some.
I suspect they would have worked even harder had they known that those locks were haunted. Apparently, 2 nuns riding along on their bicycles fell into the water there and they were drowned and they haunted the place. Well, that's the story anyway. There are loads of those stories on the canals. Tommy Osborne's got a lot of them.
So, Tommy, now the canals are coming up to date, are there any old stories, old frightening stories of the canal?
Well, a few years back I remembered the story from what my mother had told me, which I found out was true. About this lady going over the bridge on a white horse, which was originally true. This did actually happen. And my father at the time had a big canal river barge, and my mother had a muscle torn away of her arm with a barge horse, like we've had today, you know. And anyway, this particular night, I came down there. I come back down the bottom end, see that my lock handle was missing off of the gate. I was looking round for it to see where it had gone, and all at once I see this shadow going over the bridge. And it was actually a lady on a white horse. But more or less it was a ghost, but you could actually see it going over there.
When you could see that it was a real lady on a real horse?
Yeah, you could see a real lady on a real horse was really there, you know. And it actually went over the bridge itself.
Did you hear it?
Well, you could hear the horse actually walking, you know, the footsteps, like, you know. Maybe imagination, but honestly, it did actually happen, you know.
Not this horse, of course. This is Patience, and she's one of the last remaining barge horses still working on the canals. We decided to finish off our day by taking it easy, so we turned off the engine and let old Patience do all the work.
That's a fine sight, but it's not the only image we should leave you with of canals. The Waterways Board and many preservationists see a real future for our canals, both in solving some of our transport problems and also encouraging our tourist trade. They really shouldn't be allowed to drift into disrepair. They're just as much a part of our national heritage as the Tower of London or Stratford-on-Avon. So really, let's all help to look after our canals and our inland waterways. And that's it. Goodbye from me in the studio, and also goodbye from Jenny and Doug out there, ending a most enjoyable day on one of Britain's canals.